Are there the remains of ancient old world cities in Australia? Well, I think I may have found some. Let's get into it. Hi guys, how you going? I just wanted to let you all know that I have started another YouTube channel, a new one, and it's not on history or anything. It's more like Spiral Up. It's basically all how to improve your income. You know, we've seen the cost of living lately. Everything's going through the roof, rents, mortgages, food, bills, but no one's wages are going up. So if you're, having a hard time, if you're a bit stuck, if you're looking for a way to get freer, and also, guys, to get free of the government, to step sideways, to stop being their bitch, right? To start making your own decisions, get rid of all the financial stress and start making your own decisions, then that's what this channel is all about. So I'll leave a link below. If you're interested, come across and have a look. All right, so here we are on Google Maps. This is obviously Australia. And this region here, it's in Western Australia, basically out on the Nullarbor Plain pretty much. The Nullarbor is, more near the coast. But what I've found down here, now one of the things I've found I've showed before, there's something down here that looks a lot like a star fort. Now, when I first put this up a couple of years ago, I think, I got heaps of comments saying that's just a dam. And it's true that, throughout Australia, there are lots of dams that are built like this. They dig out a hole and they put the dirt around it, and it's obviously, to feed the cattle or to water the cattle. But with this one, what gets me is these pointy pits, right, on the corners. And so when you look at this from above, it definitely has that star shape. And I'm not sure what the other explanation for this shape, this change of color. I don't know what people would say to explain that, but clearly you can see there's two different types of dirt or whatever you want to call it, remains, and there's almost a solid line around it as well. So what do you think? Is that a star fort? The remains of an old star fort out in the desert? Who knows? I mean, but to me, it definitely has, the look of a star fort. And when we come out, you'll see this shape around the outside, clear lines, like straight lines going around it. So is that maybe the remains of the Star City, the walls of the city? All right, down here, another perfect square, right? And there's also over this place that there's lots of these. I mean, I guess they're water. This one here looks very strange. It's got this perfect circle there. So probably something Google Earth has done to hide something. I'm not sure. But there's not much water out here. This is the desert, and there really isn't much water. So I'm not sure what these little pockets are. These look like, are they water? They could be like vegetation. I'm not sure, but look at all these lines, all these radiating lines coming out from this middle bit that looks a bit like a blast zone. All right, if we get in there, you can see this, whatever was here has been pretty decimated, and there's just holes everywhere. These look like holes. Again, they could be plants, I'm not sure, but if they are, it's interesting that they just go around the outside, right? A couple in the middle, but pretty much they're all around the outside with this trading bit coming off. So to me, this could be a blast zone, right? The remains of an old world city. And then we have these perfectly straight lines. They look like runways almost. Is that, I don't know what that is. Could be the remains of an old canal or something. I'm not sure. It doesn't go anywhere, but perfect straight lines. And there's tons of these. If I zoom out, you will see, where are they? Here. Look at this grid system. Right? Can you see all the lines all gridded into squares? And we have these, I don't know what they are, different colored land basically. And that they are all over. You can see them. Zoom out again. We've got them here, 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 all the way around. And they are all, apart from this one maybe, they're all on the lines, which I find interesting. And this big grid system, who built this grid system? And this is huge. This is a massive, massive amount of land. In Australia, it's a very big country, and there's basically that whole region there, right? Which would, it's probably the size of the UK. That's a big, big chunk of land. And look, there's just this grid system everywhere with these lighter colored, dots that they look like here, but lighter colored parts all over it. So I find that pretty interesting too, right? Down here, I've just gone through and marked a few different places. This down here, I've labeled temple, and it's this. And the reason I made it named it temple is because you can see this is raised, right? All this land is raised up, and on the top it's very fertile, right? But around it, nothing, just desert. And we have, of course, these tracks coming off it that are also green. And can't zoom in. You can't really see much when you zoom in, but that is an interesting anomaly to me. Again, we've got these lines just going everywhere. Not sure what the explanation for that is. Here is another, what people would call a dam. And, there could be water in there, I'm not sure, but it's got the same features, right? Everything is desert and dead around it, but then just around the middle bit, got a bit of green, and we've got this. But that could be, if that is full of water, it could be a cattle ranch, right? Out in the middle of the desert, because they do run cattle out here. Like some of the farms out here are just massive, thousands of square kilometers big. And then there's this part. And can you see these? Look at this. What is this? I mean, look at that. What is that? Right, that's very strange on its own, but when you realize there's more than one, here's another one. And most of this coloring is probably made up from vegetation. But again, why is it growing out in these lines? Why is it not fully vegetated? It's a bit weird, right? And over here, again, another one, and one more over here. Gosh, that almost looks like a person, doesn't it? Like a devilish person with wings. There's another small one there. So very interesting, right? And you can see again the change in the color of the land, right? We've got, this is all much darker brown than what goes around it, this ring of desert. So, it's a very interesting place. There's all these things out here. So let's go down and check this out where I've just said strange lines again. We get this, dam type feature built here. Doesn't look like there's much water in it, but look at these radiating lines. How is this connected to this dam in any way? It doesn't make sense. And I mean, especially this one, right, where we've just got multiple lines dead straight going out. I mean, let's actually measure that, right? So if we get the measuring tool out, we'll just go from there down to here. So that is 396 meters. So it's almost 4 kilometers of dead straight lines that start from nowhere in particular and end up nowhere in particular. Oh, what's the point of that? And then, of course, all these other radiating lines. Now, yes, some of these ones could be roads, especially this one. It actually looks like it goes somewhere, but most of them don't go anywhere. And look, this is dead straight. This line here, dead, that's actually a double line, right? Dead straight. I mean, that again looks like the remains of a canal or something. And, you know, out in the middle of nowhere, all this stuff is. I've titled this one Circle because, as you can see, we have this perfect circle full of very nice looking water, right? It has an overflow by the looks into this dam, but again, like, how did they build a perfect circle? And why would you do that? It's very hard. You know, when they build a dam, they just get a digger in and they basically dig a square or rectangle hole in the ground and put the dirt up around it. To build a perfect circle, a lot of work. So again, what is that? What was that? And radiating lines. Again, perfectly straight, all these lines coming off it. You know, are these maybe the remains of ancient rivers, canals, tributaries, something like that? I'm not sure. Please leave me a comment below if you've got any ideas what all this is. Here's another perfect circle. And this one is even more interesting because if you'll see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is a one in there you can't see too well, but 6, 7, 8 points. Right, basically a square over a square. They've just been, you know, turned 90 degrees. So there we go again. A perfectly round dam is what they're going to call it. It is full of water. But what is this shape on the outside? Right, it doesn't make much sense. That one does have a road going to it. Well, it has a road, but this road goes to nowhere. It's the road to nowhere. They're all on a road to nowhere, hey? Another road here goes to nowhere. All right, this one obviously goes somewhere, but you know, why? Who built all this stuff? Who made this stuff? You know, the story of Australia, none of this should be here. Down here, I've just titled Interesting. I mean, here we again, we have these lines, and you know, these look like the lines you see in farms when they're ploughing and making fields, getting ready for planting and stuff, but you're not growing any vegetables out here. You know, even if you've got this little dam, it's a desert, guys. I mean, you can see the vegetation, how sparse it is. And, you know, this other line of the same stuff that just ends. Right, so what is all this stuff? And how wide are these? How wide do you think these might be? Let's have a look. So they're about 4 to 5 meters wide, these tracks, you know. So someone has done that. Someone's gone out there and done that. But why? In the middle of nowhere. You know, it makes more sense to me that that's remnants of an older civilization that was here probably when this was a fertile area. And here we have another one of these round dams. This one's empty, obviously, but you know, perfectly round doesn't make sense. You know, farmers aren't that interested in building round dams. It's just too much work, right? But they're perfect circles. Down here, let's have a look. It says impact zone. And why have I written that? I think this one is just see all these different circles that you see everywhere. I mean, look at them all, right? All around here. Probably can't zoom in too far, but you know, it's just you get these lighter areas, and then you just go back to desert. I mean, look at them all. What is going on here? I mean, you can see this whole area. So is that maybe some kind of impact zone? You know, where there's been destruction rained down and it's just left its imprint there. I've got grid lines, that's just, you know, pointing out this massive grid. I mean, and just to show you the scope we're looking at, we'll do this once more. We'll go from, the edge here across to here, it's kind of the end there. 214,000 meters, which is 214 kilometers. Is that right? I think it is. So that's a big area, right? And why? What for? Like, what possible, what could this possibly be benefiting? What could the use be? It doesn't make sense at all. There's something interesting down here, apparently. Let's have a look. Like I said, I've marked all these in advance. And this one, now again, so this is more of a traditional type dam. You can see it's basically a rectangle. That's how they make them. But again, we have this perfect square, or maybe not perfect, but these perfect lines going around this whole area. What's that about? There's one road here that, it goes a fair way and then it just stops, right? Another road here that looks like it goes somewhere, but again, all these radiating lines. Is that maybe evidence of a blast, an explosion, a catastrophe of some kind? Let me know in the comments. And just here as well, look at this square darker patch. Like, what would cause that to just be so regular in its shape? Doesn't make sense, especially out here in the middle of nowhere, right? Out back of the black stump, as we like to say down here. And if we come up here a bit north, there's more interesting things. I mean, look again. Look at all these lines. Now, they could be ridges. They look like they're ridges, but look at them all. I mean, there's no mountains out here. So, this might be a higher bit of land, but if it was, wouldn't these lines be going down as water runoff? Like, all these ridges going sideways. Again, interesting. And, they continue all the way up here. They go for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. Here's something. This looks like an actual station. Oh, it's probably a mining site, actually. There you go. They're out there digging something out, right? So, and there's lots of mines out here, but of course, what are mines? How did they know where stuff was? I think that maybe some of these mines are literally mining old world civilizations, right? That mining the gold that was covering the buildings. And, if there was an impact or a catastrophe, then all the gold would melt, right? Maybe that's where they go gold mining. And obviously that all the building remains, limestone and stuff. So I'm not sure, but that could be what mines are. Out here, we actually have some water. Pretty rare for the desert. Doesn't look very deep, but got a little bit of water there. Down here again, something interesting. There's water in there, all these pools of water. But, look at this. It's almost circular again, right? So, I mean, whatever was there, if there was anything there, it's pretty much been completely decimated. And so now I just thought I'd show you a bit of northern Queensland. And if we zoom in, you'll see there's squares everywhere up here as well. It's not a grid system so much, but all these squares, they're disappearing as I zoom in. You can still see the lines going around all these squares. Like, look, this is a perfectly straight line. And again, if we follow it down, let's see where it goes. Oh, it goes nowhere. All right, it just stops here. And again, across the bottom now, that looks to me like it could be the remains of an old canal. This one is 14 meters across. So it's a fairly big canal, line, road, whatever you want to call it. And again, if we follow it, doesn't go anywhere. Hang on, still going. All the way down to here. I mean, that could be a road. That looks more like it's not. And again, this is out in the middle of nowhere, right? This is way inland and way north. So you can see the towns, there's not even that many towns up the coast. It's pretty, like the coast is nice and tropical, but in here it's just dry desert basically. A few little towns. Now let's go in and see the kind of town we got here, right? This is called Winton. And if we zoom in, you'll see it's just this tiny little town, right? It's got like 10 or 20 streets max. And it's just out in the middle of nowhere. Now that is probably a farming or a mining community, but there's not many people out here. Right, so again, how did we get this grid system? All right, again, we'll zoom in here and you'll see these are dead straight lines going around these square shapes, right? So what is all this, right? It's out in a place where it shouldn't be. There's no reason why anyone would have gone out and created this. It's got nothing to do with farming or mining as far as I can see, but it's just out in the middle of nowhere. And up here, so now we're in the Northern Territory. And this I found pretty interesting. So I've just marked this columns. Because when we go in and look at this, look at this. Look at these columns. This one's got a square on the top of it, and it looks like it's something at the top, a point. This has got a point. And we've just got these columns everywhere, right? I mean, look at these ones in here. Just out in what is clearly some kind of hill. It's not really a mountain, wouldn't be very high. And even here, we have this raised plateau with a flat top on it. Let's see that. Reminiscent of many of the star cities we see, and also the old forts and monasteries that are up on hills, that they always build them like that. But, it's these column-like structures that are getting to me. And of course, geologists are going to say it's wind erosion and all that kind of stuff. I don't believe that myself, the whole story about wind erosion creating all this stuff, because wouldn't it be smooth? Why does some get blown away and some doesn't? But very interesting. And then down here we have this. Right, you can see, it's half buried, but there's a square bottom there. We've got another squared off level here. It goes up and up. Right? Almost looks like the remains of a pyramid, maybe. I don't know. What do you think? I just thought I'd show you all this stuff. And here again, like more of the columns. Like, look at them all the way across here. Look at this. Right? What do you think? I mean, to me, they look like they could be the remains of something, some kind of building, maybe. Obviously, whatever was there has been pretty devastated, but you can see all these different levels. Right? They've all got this same colonnaded look. Right? All these different levels along here. Pretty interesting. So there you go, guys. I just thought I'd show you a few of the anomalies in the Australian Outback. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Please leave me a comment, a message, give me a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for spending some time with me. And I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
Remember, in the end, nobody wins unless everybody wins. Come on!